Welcome to episode 21 of the Fitasylum podcast. Thank you everyone for all the support. And today we're joined by Stevie, former student, and now she does a lot in the industry in a multitude of different areas. So Stevie, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So tell us about your first interaction with fitness. When did it first start? When did your passion start? Tell us about your journey.
So I was quite active as a kid, very active. I did a bit of gymnastics, a lot of cheerleading, a lot of dancing. So I'd say that was like the beginning of it to a degree.
What age are we talking here? Give us some context.
From primary school, I was trying to teach myself gymnastics. I
so
didn't
not
do
like
lessons at that point.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah,
Wow.
I just taught myself splits, walkovers,
Just
little
casual,
things like that.
just the splits.
I just wanted to do it. That was it. And then I started kind of dancing and cheerleading, say high school age. Did gymnastic lessons for maybe a year. Did dancing up until college, did performing arts. So I've always been very, very active. Then I kind of had a break from all of that. Had kids, did that kind of thing, just kind of enjoyed young adult life, should we say, late teens where you just go out a lot. So I didn't do any gym related, no dancing, no gymnastics, dropped everything. And then I had my second daughter, and a year after I just hated the way I looked. I was very slim, very little muscle, no shape whatsoever, felt like crap.
Yeah, a lot of people don't say that though, do they? Like a lot of people don't. That's not you. The usual avenue is either lose weight, but I think it has become more prevalent for muscle mass to, be a primary goal, which is amazing. It's very good for me.
So from that point, that's when I was like, okay, I need to do something about this. I need to get my body back. I need to get something back that's for me, where I'm not just a mum, which I felt like I'd kind of settled into.
Didn't want to just have that persona.
Yeah, I wanted to have something that was me. That was just mine.
Love it.
So I started in the gym, and for the first year I probably didn't have a clue what I was doing. Really just went in and winged it. I hid away for the first maybe 2 months up in the cardio section because the weight section was scary.
That's what a lot of people say and a lot of people do, and there's people who have been going to gym for 10 years and still don't really know what to do. When people say to me, the PC market is oversaturated, I say, well, there's not much education out there still. There's still people who are training incorrectly, and there's still a lot of misinformation and people just doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So when we get a lot more high level, high quality PTs like yourself into the gym who have been highly educated and continuing their education, that's only going to make the industry better and stronger. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. You need more of that positive and kind of experience going out there and into social media. It's so high at the minute. It's just everywhere. There is so many resources you can access. It's just finding the good ones.
And the one that works for you as well.
Yeah.
As we're about to discuss, you're an online coach, and some people will really, really find that very helpful because it will give them access to a top quality coach, which they might not have had access to in their local area. So just going back to your fitness journey first though, I guess, is you got back into it, you'd done these 2 months hiding away in the cardio area, as you said. What made you go into the weight side? Because now we can't get you out of the weight side, is that correct?
Yeah, you can't get me out of there. That's my happy place now. Cardio is an absolute no-go.
How the times have changed.
It very much changed.
When was this, sorry? Give us a time frame.
This was 2018. So May 2018 was when I first stepped in the gym and thought, okay, let's give this a whirl.
That's amazing, 5 years.
So yeah, quite a while now. Like I say, for the first year, I didn't know what I was doing. Hid away for 2 months in the cardio section, which wasn't ideal for me because I was already very slim with very little muscle mass. I was really underweight.
But did you not know this?
No, well, I did.
In terms of, did you know that the cardio wouldn't really benefit you too much in terms of muscle growth?
Yeah, I knew it wouldn't help me in that. It was just a case of, I'm here. This is me being here. This is me starting. And I would kind of be in the cardio section, but watch people training while I was in the weight section. So then I'd maybe see somebody use a machine and think, okay, I'm going to give that one a go.
Did your gym not have like an induction that you could do or anything like that?
They did, but at that point, I didn't have much confidence.
Too anxious?
I was really anxious. I didn't have much confidence.
Wow.
It was kind of hard enough me being there in the first place because it was all new. So I just wanted to figure it out myself, which I did do. It was a slow process, but I did it. Just
on a side note, if 5 years ago and you could go back now, what would you tell Stevie 5 years ago?
So you know what? I wouldn't change it.
Really?
No, I wouldn't change it because...
Would you not say get a coach?
Not immediately,
No.
For me, that I felt like that worked best.
Okay, so if you see someone in the gym now and he or she has just started and they're hiding away in the cardio zone, you wouldn't show them around?
Yeah, I'd go over and maybe introduce myself, because I'd see if they were a bit anxious. I can see that in people.
Yeah.
So if someone's looking a bit anxious, or maybe that they don't quite know what they're doing, I'd just go and put a friendly face there and
offer the support.
Offer some support, yeah.
That's nice.
But for me, I don't know. I feel like that kind of got me where I am today. So for me, that worked.
You won't want to change any of the journey then?
No, it just felt really good.
How you got to where you are today?
It is. That's how I've gained a lot of knowledge as well, through kind of making mistakes. And I think because of my previous of doing a lot of dancing and gymnastics, I have a very good mind-to-muscle connection anyway. So as soon as I started in the gym, I already had that. I could kind of tell if I was doing something wrong without looking, because I'd be like, okay, that doesn't feel right.
So this is the question I ask all PTs, and I know this is how they basically I know they're going to be a coach, is did you go home and research stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's for me, that's how I know someone's going to be a coach. When I have people in the gym and they're like, Deck, I was watching this YouTube video about this, or I was reading about this, and I'm like, you could be a coach. That's kind of like my first inclination that they might want to start. And it happens and every PT that we've ever had on the course who's kind of a very good level or a good coach or going to be a good coach, that's how they start. So you're a year in, and you've started to work out how to use the weight side of stuff. How did you progress from there?
So from there, I just kind of figured out more and more as I went along. I got more confident. All my sessions were in the gym. I'd train 5 to 6 times a week. Tried new things. I didn't really track my workouts or anything like that at that point. I probably still didn't have the full knowledge.
You're saying it through wincing.
I know.
Is that because is that something you would tell people now to track?
Yes, that is actually probably something I would say that I could have obviously gained a lot more muscle mass quicker if I would have tracked from the beginning. So although I did a lot of learning myself, which was great for me personally and taught me a lot in terms of tracking your sessions, the weights that you lift in, the reps, it's going to be really, really helpful to do right from the beginning. And I probably should have done that. That would have helped.
Awesome. And I think that's a really good idea. And when I went to Croatia, in a gym, they give little pieces of paper, which were handouts. And when anyone comes into the gym, it gives them a piece of paper where they can track their workout day to day, and you can take that paper home, and they just offer that to everyone. So it's amazing. In terms of going through your... do you want to pause it, Cal? Apologies for that interruption, guys. We had a delivery guy turn up. So yeah, that's the interjection. But we were just discussing your fitness journey. We were talking about how tracking is something that you would definitely go back and maybe tell yourself. Mm-hmm. What else would you tell yourself, Stevie?
Oh, that is a tricky one.
Or would that just be the number one thing?
That would be the number one
progress.
thing. Yeah, track your progress.
Any
even if you're not tracking
way?
your food, if you're tracking your weight and your reps, and you are sticking to a plan each week, rather than you see people coming in and change. I did it. I changed. I just went in and went, I'm going to do this today. And I would try so much different thing, but because of that, I'm not being consistent, which means I'm not consistently progressing in the gym. So then when it came to muscle gain, that was slower than it could have been. So it wasn't as effective as it could have been.
It's very interesting you say that. There's a study done recently, and there's been a couple of different ones in America and other countries, and between 80 and 95% is what all these studies are kind of find in between, of people that go to commercial gyms that don't have a plan when they step foot in the gym. I think that's crazy. Yeah. Can you imagine 80 to 95% of people? That means 5 out of 100 people who go in a gym have actually got a plan.
Yeah.
But when I thought about it, I was like, that's probably right, isn't it?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So when you train, do you see a lot of people who don't have a plan?
I see a lot more of it now than when I first started. When I first started, I wasn't the only one. There was very few and far between people that were actually tracking, especially I was in a commercial gym as well as in the gym group. So it was just that kind of gym where you'd just come in and do whatever. There wasn't many people that seemed to be doing it seriously.
I see in a lot of other countries that they have a lot of forward thinking, so they might have workout suggestions, which I think is a really good idea. Workout programs that are printed out that are for beginners, where it's really simple movement qualities. Obviously that's not ideal in terms of if we could have a coach there, that'd be fantastic. But cost implications, especially with the current economy. All these things are going to affect that. But as you've just touched on, there's so many resources out there.
Yeah.
What's the number one resource you use? Is it your coach?
Yeah, see, I've got my coach now. I've got
give
a
him
coach.
a shout out.
Yeah, so my coach is Danny Howarth. He's a bodybuilder himself, and he kind of introduced me to the bodybuilding world, should we say. Initially, I got started in bodybuilding after lockdown.
Nice.
Because I've been training for about 3 years at this stage.
Yep, so about 2021, would that be fair?
2021, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first competitive year, yeah.
Awesome.
So after lockdown, so I'd trained about 3 years. I was really, really enjoying it, not just because I was getting some shape back and feeling I had my thing, but also I was feeling healthier, fitter. I just felt more confident because I'd gained all this knowledge and experience, and training was just a really good thing for me mentally as well.
So you've done 3 years without a coach?
3 years without a coach, PT,
Did you have a plan? Or did you create your own?
No, I just did what I want. I just made sure I was hitting each body area every week.
Twice or once?
Once.
Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe legs twice because I enjoy legs a lot.
That's the whole point of having a coach. When people say to you that, like, you're a PT, you've been doing it for 13 years nearly, like, why do you still have a coach? I'm like, it's accountability. It also makes me, if I program for myself, subconsciously, I'm going to do stuff I just enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, I'd just be snatching and clean and jerking pretty much every day.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't do the stuff like my coach is making me carry a sandbag around and uneven loads with kettlebells and just awkward stuff running. You know, I just wouldn't do it.
No.
Are you the same?
Yeah, I'm the same with that. Yeah, I think I could put my own plan together now and I could do all that, but I wouldn't really be doing it as effectively for me.
Awesome. So what made you want to be a PT? 2021, I think you started your course.
2021, yeah. Well, I'd started my courses. I'm trying to think when I started those. 22, I think it was. I started bodybuilding first.
Yeah, so bodybuilding 2021.
Bodybuilding first.
Tell people how successful you were at bodybuilding, or are at bodybuilding, I should say.
Well, yeah, my first year was a bit of a tick box exercise. It was something that I'd had my eye on doing for a while, but I didn't really know much about it. And I thought, screw it, we've all been locked down for a year, well, more than a year.
Yep.
Why am I sat on this waiting? I'll just give it a go. And if I don't like it, I won't do it again, end of.
It's actually the same process with weightlifting and powerlifting. We tell clients to come and watch comp first. Then we tell them to just join a local kind of unregistered comp. And then we say to them, why don't you come and do a proper one? And then if they don't like it at any point, we just say it's not for them. But what we'll usually find, in 99% of the cases, is we absolutely bloody love this. Yeah. And they want to carry on. And I'm sure you had the same sort of thing. But then the first year is just about going and getting white lights, which is just getting your passes. We're actually not that competitive.
Yeah, so where with bodybuilding, it kind of, I went in with no expectations, I guess. I just went into it and thought, yeah, we'll just give it a go. Did 3 shows in my first year. My first show was a PCA first timers. Nice. And I placed 3rd.
Were you happy with that?
Bikini trained category. Yeah, I was amazed. I was really happy because it was quite a stacked lineup as well. It was a busy lineup.
How many people?
Oh, maybe about 13.
Oh wow, that is quite a lot.
There was a lot of girls on the stage.
That is a lot.
So I came 3rd in my first one, and I got an invite to British finals off them.
Is that top 5 get an invite, or is it top 3?
Not necessarily top 5. It just depends who they want to give it to.
Oh really?
So yeah, it might be that they only give it to 2, but then other times they might give it to 6.
In powerlifting, it's a little bit different. They have a specific parameter where they'll go, right, the top 5 have qualified for British Championships.
No, you never know.
So it's all done off, like, opinion?
Yeah, it's very subjective, is bodybuilding, so it can be a bit like that. But I got my British final invite, so I did British finals maybe about 3-4 weeks later.
Nice.
Same category, bikini trained, and I placed 2nd. At British finals.
Moving up the ladder.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. I was very happy. Yeah. And then I had 1 show left planned, and that was an NFM UK show. I think it was a week later, so I did it quite close together. I got it kind of over and done with. Yeah. Did about an 18-week diet phase, 18 to 20-week diet phase for that.
It's a long phase, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was for like my first show, and then obviously it carried on while I was competing.
So you go into peaks, don't you? And you'll go into
your peak weeks and things like that. So I did my last show NFM and I won my amateur class.
Wow.
Which then meant I went into the pro show. So I got my GBO pro status. I went into the pro show that evening, same day, and I won the pro show category. So I ended up in the overalls, and the overall would win sponsorship, not sponsorship, but sponsored flight to Texas hotels, and they compete over there. I placed second in the overalls.
Ooh, that's amazing first day out though.
Yeah, first season I was absolutely buzzing, and then from that point I was hooked.
Yeah. Did you go to Texas then?
That year, no.
Right.
I ended up going in 2022, so I went back in 2022, and I went back to NFM, and I changed categories as well. So last year I didn't do bikini trained. I went into figure.
Why
figure
did you change?
Athletic.
Just for the people listening, to understand the difference in categories.
Right, okay. So initially when I started competing, we were just going to go for bikini, like standard bikini. Then as I started prepping, we realised that I had too much muscle, so we were going for bikini trained.
Yep.
And then after I really enjoyed it, I thought, you know what, I want a challenge. I enjoy training hard and gaining muscle. I also only had an 8-week building phase for my first competitive year,
which is not a lot at all.
So the muscle I had essentially was muscle I'd built up prior to actually getting a coach.
You hadn't done a proper growth phase, really?
No, I'd done an 8 weeks, which is nothing.
Which usually they recommend 24 months, don't they?
Yeah. So we thought, right, okay, we'll have a solid off season, and so it worked out about 6-7 months off season, and we knew that I'd grow quite a lot in that period, because genetically I seem to grow muscle quite easily,
which is helpful.
Very helpful. So we went for figure athletic as well. So there's 3 categories in figure. You've got toned, which is a little bit of a softer look, athletic, which is a bit more peeled down, and then trained as well, which is a bit harder and a little bit bigger. So we went for athletic, middle grounder, and did quite well in that as well. So I'm trying to think which one I did first. I feel like it was a NFM. Yes, it was. It was an NFM show first, and I was already pro, so I just went straight into the pro category from last year, so I didn't have to do the amateur class again.
Did that help a lot? Because you didn't have to do the posing and all the stuff beforehand. You could leave it till later.
Well, no, actually, posing wise, I would always say start your posing as soon as possible, as soon as you know what category you're in. Because my posing was actually different last year than it was from my first year, because it was different categories.
Oh yeah, so obviously, did you have to develop a complete different posing routine then?
Yeah.
And does your routine change each comp? Or are you trying to keep the same posing routine for each year?
Well, in bikini you have an eye walk, so it's not quite a routine. It's just you showcase your best poses with that. But then with figure, you'll do your comparisons, which is you'll have your mandatory poses, but then on top of that, you will be able to showcase kind of your additional poses and strengths in your routine element, and that can include posing, dancing, gymnastic-y bits, whatever you want to put in and comfortable doing.
And does that fit in well with your gymnastic and dance background? So was that part of your reasoning for changing, or did that was that a happy coincidence?
No, it was part of it, because I thought I can do that.
And was that Danny that helped you with that coach, or was that just you on your own?
No, that was just me. I did my routine by myself.
That's amazing. So you had no coaching on your posing?
I had one posing session for figure.
Oh wow.
At the height of my off season last year, so I had one posing session with Phoebe, and then the rest of it was all me just figuring it out.
Because my friends who do bodybuilding, like granted most of them are male, they do a lot of posing coaching, like they're lead up to it. They find it really difficult, but I suppose because you've got a kind of performance background, that'll probably be a little bit easier for you.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So then give us an overall kind of results of 2022 for you on your professional
overall of 2022. So I did really well. I ended up in Texas, so I got what I came for the second year.
So you won?
I took the overall,
Oh, wow.
And I went to Texas. I did another NFM show as well, and I won that. I took the win on that as well and won £1,000.
Oh wow!
At that one, so
it's better than powerlifting and weightlifting.
Yeah, I did really well for my first year as figure, and only my second year as in bodybuilding. Every competition I've done, other than Texas, I've placed top 3.
Oh wow!
So I've done really well.
Where did you place in Texas? If you don't? Fourth. Were you happy with that though?
I was disheartened at the time.
Looking back.
Yeah, well,
reflection.
I went with the thing of
I've won everything else.
I'd love to get top 3.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd be happy with top 3. I didn't expect to win, but top 3 would have been nice. And then I kind of just missed out on that. So I was a little bit gutted, a bit disheartened. Obviously, I've gone all the way out there. But on reflection, like, I did well. It was my first international competition, my second year bodybuilding. Like, what I
What
don't
more
even
could you
know.
ask for?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, you've worked so hard, you've dieted, you've done everything you feel like you need to do. It's
feel like you deserve
exhausting. Yeah, it's emotionally challenging,
yeah.
mentally. So, you know, everything's kind of built up to that.
So would that kind of give us a insight into your psyche of how competitive on a scale of 1 to 10 would you say you are, Stevie?
I'm very competitive.
Are we saying 10?
I'd probably put that as a 10. I'm not even going to lie and say anything less. I'm very competitive, but not necessarily with other people.
With yourself?
I'm very competitive with myself, and
Nice.
I always want to progress and improve, and that's like a personal challenge.
So you probably thought you could do better yourself?
Yes.
You're probably disappointed with you?
Yeah,
you,
it was. Oh, yeah. It wasn't a case of I
was
should have
better than
beat
her.
that. Yeah, I should have beat her. It wasn't even that. It was. I was disappointed more in myself. I was like, I wanted to do better for me.
Very interesting. I love that mindset. Just going back to this year then, am I right in thinking you've taken a year out this year in terms of a growth phase and you do some guest posing? Would that be correct?
Yeah, so this year has been about kind of focusing a bit more on my family, business side of things. I do need longer to grow to be more competitive. I know we've only had like 6-7 months off season one time only, so
Wow.
I do need to grow.
So you're basically doing a growth year?
A growth year, yeah, massive growth year.
Do you think you're back on stage next year then?
Next year.
Wow.
Yeah, next year's the year, 2024.
Go and win at Texas, is that the plan?
Well, there's no plan. This year I'm going to dip my toe in with other federations as well. So at the moment I've only ever done NFM UK and PCA. Right. But next year I want to do some two bros, I want to do Fitex, NFM again, PCA.
So we might see you down at Body Power.
Could see me anywhere next year. Let's see what the schedule says.
So we're going to move on to your PTing career now. So obviously, How did you find the course with Fitasylum first of all?
I was just looking for online courses, just Google searching and looking at a few and kind of seeing which worked for me. And there wasn't many, I remember at the time, of online ones that I thought were actually half decent, to put it bluntly. And I saw this one and I thought, that's great. And also at the time it offered the funding option as well, which is
the government funding.
Yeah, the government funding, which at the time, obviously, I was a single mum with
just
two kids. Coming out of COVID, like I wasn't exactly in the best financial position to fund it myself. So that was like, you know, a massive help.
Awesome. And then tell us about, so did you enjoy the course first of all?
Yeah, really enjoyed the course, really enjoyed it.
Good stuff. And then starting out in the industry, I know we discussed off camera and off podcast, you are an online coach now.
Yeah.
And is that because it fits into your lifestyle and because you've used an online coach? Is that what's kind of spurred you on to do that?
Yeah, I've used an online coach and I know it's worked for me.
Yes.
I know it doesn't work for everybody. Some people do prefer the in-person situation. That is much better for others. It just depends. But my lifestyle wise, I'm very busy. I am very busy with kind of my training, my children.
I was going to say,
they're kind
you're a professional bodybuilder.
There's a lot going on, and
a lot of spinning plates.
Yeah, I'm spinning a lot, and I love the idea of PTing, but I know I wouldn't be able to commit enough to that. And it's one of those, it just is what it is.
You've already said earlier that you're an all or nothing person, so if you were going to do it, you'd have to do it all in.
I'd have to do it all in, and I don't have the capacity to do that.
No, which is, I think you learn that through life, don't you? What you can and can't take on.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you finding coaching? How's online coaching? How are you finding it? What have you learned?
Well, I knew everyone were different anyway, and I suppose went into it with my eyes open, and after kind of speaking to a lot of people in the fitness industry before that, I already knew that everybody sat in different positions when it came to training and how they could adhere. But I guess I've learnt a little bit more about other people's personal struggles in relation to maybe food relationships, and there's been a lot around that I've been giving support to my clients.
That's amazing.
But I am enjoying it, and I am still learning as I go along. It's not a case of I've done my course and that's it, I'm done. I'm still learning all the time.
And would you say that's a huge thing you would tell other coaches and people who are on the course to do? No,
don't just think, I've done my course, I know everything there is to know now, I know everything, and disregard any other information that might be out there. Like, go and look for it. Take snippets of the bits that you feel are going to be worthwhile to add to your belt.
Love that. And in terms of 2023, what are you excited most for this year? It could be something your children are doing, you're doing, anything. What are you most excited for 2023?
I have actually got my first competitive client this year.
Ooh.
So that's very exciting.
So you get to go to the show with them and you get to help them out.
I'm going to a bikini fitting with her in a couple of weeks.
Exciting.
So
do you want to shout her out?
Yeah, so it's Jen Reid,
Nice.
and it's her first one in about 12 weeks now. So she's going to do PCA first timers in Birmingham.
Exciting.
So I'm very excited for her, for me as well, because it's my first competitive client. So I'm quite excited to kind of push her out there. And
as a coach, I was actually more excited to go and watch my clients than go for myself.
Yeah.
I used to think as myself, because I got into like a routine of doing it. It was quite easy. Where with clients, I'm more anxious for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you've kind of already given it, but one tip for people currently in education.
I've kind of already given it.
Yeah, in terms of you would tell them to continually develop. But
Yes.
that might be more for professionals. But so if you've got one tip for people currently in education, think back to when you did the course or when you were in school, what would the one tip be?
Take from it what you need. So sometimes in education, I'd say some things are just things you have to know, but not necessarily exactly what you need to know, if that makes sense. So make sure you explore into those avenues and don't just take it as read.
Yeah.
There is more to it, and there's up-to-date things that keep getting released. It's not just this is this and this is how it's going to be forever.
Research and development.
Yeah, and develop and throw yourself into it, all or nothing situation, because if you're constantly just going, I'm just doing a bit of this, you're not going to get very far with it. You need to invest your time, your effort, your energy.
A lot of the principles in our industry that I was taught 12, 13 years ago have changed dramatically. So, I think that's a really valuable tip. And then one tip for professionals, would it be to continue to develop?
For professionals, well, yeah, that's always going to be helpful. But then at the same point, I would say for some professionals, maybe really take on board the client's needs as well. Because I think you hear quite a lot that maybe some people are just being pushed down routes that they're not necessarily in the right place to go down, and then that can have quite a negative effect on them clients as well, because I've had a few with that.
Negative results, I guess.
Yeah, negative results. So I'd say obviously you're there to support the client and kind of encourage them and get them to where they want to be, but you're not there to drag them kicking and screaming. Like, you want them to be in a really good position to do that, because that's going to get the good results for them and for you as a coach.
Definitely. And thank you, Stevie. You have been an amazing guest. Just finally, can you give a shout out to your social media?
Oh, my social media. So I'm on Instagram, Stevie Nicola 3. I've just joined this new Threads. Have you seen this Threads? I'm not sure what I feel about it, but I'm there.
I love the one of you and your daughter. You look exactly the same.
Yeah, she is my mini-me. She is an exact clone of me, but smaller.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am on a lot of social media. I'm not quite on YouTube yet. It is something I'm looking to get started with, but it's a big commitment. And as we said, I'm a all or nothing kind of gal.
I love that. Thank you very much for joining us.
No
and
worries.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did, thank you.